Digital world, how are you going? Welcome back to Spliced In Later. My apologies, it has been a bit since I last spoke to you. Things have been a bit hectic, things have got a little out of hand, priorities have shifted a bit, personal issues, the whole shebang. I won't bore you with them because they are very boring. They do influence this episode in a certain way, so I guess there's that. But no, I was determined that I would get this out to you when I promised. I put a big statement up saying I was going to do it, so I knew when the day rolled around I wouldn't sit there and cross my arms and go, no, I'm not doing that because I don't feel good enough to do it. No, I am good enough to do it because we're suffering through all sorts of shit down here in Australia at the moment, but we power on, and that's what I'm going to do. I hope you're all doing good. I hope everyone out there is persevering wherever you are in the world. If you're down here in Australia, I hope you're surviving the heat, or the hailstorms, or the flooding, or the fires, or the lightning, or everything else that's going on down here. It's absolutely messed up, isn't it? Every day is a fight for survival. But we move on, we persevere, and that's what we're doing now. Originally, this episode I had planned a couple of days ago was going to be a big one. I was going to do a top 10 list. That's obviously not going to happen. I hope next week, if things have calmed down a bit, that I will be able to present that to you, and stick around to the end of the episode. I'll tell you what that top 10 list is going to be about to get you excited. But for now, this episode is very much influenced with what's going on in the world, and I wanted to, in the usual Spliced In sense, still recommend a movie to you all, and get you out there watching movies you haven't seen before and appreciating the quality and art that is movies, but also a movie that is in reflection to an appreciation of sorts that I want to give out to a certain group of people, a certain company and industry, volunteers as you were, that are putting their lives on the line every day, specifically every single day recently for here in Australia, to protect the rest of us stupid slobs from essentially burning to death. I know they're probably not listening because they're probably out there fighting fires or they got better things to do, but I hope when they listen to this, they will appreciate that I am very grateful, and I know a lot of people out there feel the same way. Today I want to talk about a movie that came out in 2017. It wasn't too long ago, so it's pretty new, but it sort of went by under the radar, I think. I didn't hear about it till someone had reviewed it, and then it dropped off the face of the earth for me again, until it was on my list of movies at the end of last year that I wanted to check out as soon as possible. It is a very good movie. I think it deserves more recognition than what it got. But unfortunately, with the big blockbuster films and all the other big name films and big directors, these sorts of movies do sometimes get buried. I don't know if that's 100% true. I don't live in America. Maybe America went nuts with this film. I don't think so. But the movie is called Only the Brave, and it is about firefighters. Now, firefighting is pretty good in movies and TVs. I think if you're looking for a genuine good action emotional impact of a movie, movies generally involving firefighters and their relationships, and TV shows as well, are generally solid stuff that's worth checking out. If you're a casual viewer who doesn't have time for a movie, or if you want to pick up a TV show and you have the time to watch a couple episodes every now and then, I would recommend the show Chicago Fire. Coincidentally enough, about Chicago firefighters. It is a very good show, very well written with great acting, also not bad looking people, if I might add. I know that's how my mother started on the show. It is very well done in terms of the action and the calls that these firefighters go out to do. And it is also very good in establishing the bond of family that obviously these firefighters get when they ride out in a fire truck to go and save the day, and they have each other's backs, both on the work site and at home. Chicago Fire is a very enjoyable show that is still currently airing. It's in its 8th season. My only warning is that if you do want to get into Chicago Fire, you'll probably better be prepared to get into Chicago PD and Chicago Med and Chicago Justice and hell, even Law and Order SVU, because it is a tough, well-woven series of shows that constantly relies on interacting off each other in a very impressive way. You get the cops show up on the fire show, you get the firefighters show up on the medical show, you get the lawyers defending the doctors for malpractice. It's very, very interesting how they've managed to make it flow so smoothly. You never feel confused or shocked when all these characters are interacting with each other off different shows, but it is a commitment. I would say to get the most out of it, you do want to know who everybody is. So as much as I say, hey, check out Chicago Fire, I'm wary because I'm also saying, hey, check out 6 shows. But as I said, Chicago Fire, good show, worth a look. But no, as I said, I wanted to talk about the movie Only the Brave. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Only the Brave, it is based on a true story about the Granite Mountain Hotshots. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this movie and why I think it's a great movie and a powerful movie, why it's relevant to what's going on in Australia at the moment, is because Only the Brave and the Granite Mountain Hotshots, their specific firefighting troop are the ones that go out not into the bush because it is America, but into the forests and woods, all those luscious green places that are out in the outbackish bits of America, but near settlements. Because bushfires and wildfires get out of hand incredibly fast in certain situations because they are isolated, they're in rugged terrain, they have a lot to eat, there's not much fight for them because they're not near a lot of firefighting posts. So I guess in real life as well, these firefighters go out into the wilderness with their trusty hoses and their shovels, and they can't put it out. It's really not possible. They just contain it and try to protect it from hitting homes and families and loved ones. The Granite Mountain Hotshots were a very beloved group of firefighters, very dear to their community, that really proved themselves. The movie shows them starting out as sort of no-name firefighters. The E Squad, they start all the way back behind a bunch of other firefighters. They never get involved in actually tackling the fires themselves. Their leader, played by Josh Brolin, decides he wants to get them in on the action because they want to make a difference. He sees too many towns get hit by fires, and he knows that he could have had the chance to save those properties if he had been up front dealing with the fire himself. So he takes his crew of 20 men, he trains them up, he gets them ready, and then once they're deemed hotshots, which is an American term for the number one crew, the first on the scene, they go out and they save a bunch of places. And what's great about this movie is watching them all grow as firefighters and as friends and family, get better at their job, save all the people in different places, and see the appreciation that the public has for these firefighters. What's great is that they are flawed human beings. Aside from Josh Brolin, our other main character is played by Miles Teller. He's the new recruit to the firefighters, and he's got some family problems if there ever was. He's dealing with being a new father, drug abuse, weight loss, not very energetic, a whole bunch of stuff, trying to prove that he can be a good father by joining these firefighters. And you get the standard, everybody doesn't like him, he's the new guy, so they're a bit standoffish on him, but he proves himself, he makes some friends, and by the middle of the movie, he's a solid member of the group. And it's really heartwarming to see those type of movies where someone who's down on his luck and who everyone has given up on and don't believe that they can make something of themselves and improve themselves are able to show everyone else that if given the chance and the support, they are able to turn their lives around and make something of themselves, which is fantastic. And Miles Teller is really great in the role. But not just Miles Teller, you have Josh Brolin's wife, played by Jennifer Connelly, and their whole story is showing the impact. As dedicated as he is to going out and fighting these fires, the family of firefighters are always the ones that have to stay behind and worry if these firefighters are going to come back, because they're, as I said, putting their lives on the line to protect complete strangers, people they've never met before. And Jennifer Connelly has to support her husband, but also let him know that she is scared and nervous. And he has to accept that she is allowed to voice that she is scared and nervous. So they have their arguments, but then they come together and they make up, and then they have another argument. There's a lot of powerful conflicting emotions in there, which is great. The one downside for the movie is just that as there are 20 hotshots, they don't really focus on too many of them. I would personally like to get to know each and every one of them because they all played a part in saving a lot of lives, and I think it would be important to know each of them and their personality and what drives them. But for the ones that we do stick with, they really do a good job of describing the personalities and what drives them specifically. Taylor Kitsch is the arrogant one who's a bit of a jokester. Everyone sort of tolerates but also laughs at, and it's his journey of becoming an adult, not being a child anymore. James Badge Dale is Josh Brolin's second in command, the one who supports him in every decision he does, has his back no matter what. Jeff Bridges is their cowboy hat-wearing chief, who has their best interests at heart and always wants them to succeed and really sees all these hotshots as his children, which is always lovely to see. Now, I don't want to spoil this movie. It is worth taking in, not knowing what happened to these hotshots. It is based on a true story. I won't say what happened. I mean, you could look in the history books if you want. The main incident that this movie pertains to is only about 5 years old, I think, in the last decade, 2013 maybe, so a bit earlier. But it is worth experiencing if you don't know what happens, if you don't know the things that these firefighters go through to save lives, because what really hammers home this movie is that emotion when these people that you've come to care about, their lives are put on the line. Even though they're actors, you still realize that these were real people. These are real people just trying to save a house. They don't know who's inside that house, but they'll do anything they can to protect that house and the people in there. It's that sort of selflessness and bravery which is just so great for people like firefighters in real life, and it is portrayed very well in this movie. It's 2 hours, a nice good length for a movie, easy to watch. It'll fly by, I'll tell you. I actually watched this movie for the first time when there was a pretty bad fire day for where I live in Australia. Maybe not the best film to have picked, considering the circumstances. It did have me on edge. But experiencing what they were going through while having in real life what was going on out there, extrapolating the actors I'm watching play fictional versions of real life people who fought fires, knowing that there are people like that literally 20 kilometers from where I am fighting an actual fire, trying to make sure that I get to keep all my stuff, essentially. Sure, I get to live, but I get to live luxuriously-ish that I am. I have a house, I have a bed, I have stuff, I have things. And it is nice that there are people trying to make sure that I get to keep those things, which is great. Now, I feel like I have rambled a bit. I'm hoping that I've got my point across that Only the Brave is an interesting movie that you should watch. I absolutely 100% give it an 8 out of 10. The only reason it is not higher at all is because it is sort of an emotional movie for me, but I wish it could have been a bit more emotional in terms of the character development. That's what stops it from really getting the full marks. But as I've said before, 5 or above is good. To get an 8 out of 10 is an exceptional film. So Only the Brave, definitely worth checking out. 100%. Pretty easy to find. I'm sure it's on Netflix. But the reason that I'm recommending this movie to you, and what I want to cap this episode off with, is at the moment, every day is a very stressful time for people with anxiety and stuff, with nearby bushfires and things like that. And it is good to know that as much as you're worrying about yourself and how things are affecting you and how you stand to lose or gain depending on what happens with the fires, it is always important to remember that there are a ton of other people that are working hard to help you without even meeting you, and what they're risking, their lives, is way more serious than if your books go up in flames or not. A lot of these people die in fires. You may never know their names, but they went down fighting for us. And I am really appreciative that they continue to fight. Australia has had a terrible bushfire season. It has not let up since November, I think. And it's only got worse to come. As I record this, I can hear helicopters flying overhead, probably going off to water bomb some more fires somewhere else. And I'm just truly thankful, and I think as a good way to thank the people that are doing this for us, shake their hands if you see them in the street, give them some food, give them some money, or, I don't know, if you're alive and safe, watch Only the Brave. It's a small thing. I don't think they'll ever know you did, but you might feel good about it. I certainly feel like I have more of an appreciation for it with this movie. Thank you for listening. That is the end of this rather, I wouldn't say powerful, I'm not powerful, emotional episode, a very pointed issue that is describing, keeping in the genre of movies as we are, but really trying to express my thanks and gratitude for firefighters in general. I hope I get to speak to you again soon. I'm sure I will. And I hope that it will be soon, because I do want to give you my next top 10 episode, and it is going to be the top 10 Pixar movies. I'm sure a lot of people will have some strong opinions about what are the best Pixar films. I'm pretty sure I may already be making some people mad. I may hear some people clicking that unsubscribe button. Who can say? But I look forward to bringing that list to you. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. I love and appreciate every single one of you. As always, be safe out there. Look after one another. Thanks, firefighters. Love ya. You've been spliced in later. Adios, muchachos. I'll catch you next time.